Kanangra, a name that strikes fear into the heart of bushwalkers and canyoners around Australia. The creeks here flow through rugged and wild country, far away from any signs of civilization. Dozens of abseils, thick vegetation, steep terrain, and temperamental weather systems make this environment incredibly inhospitable for humans. A descent of the canyons in this country requires a high level of fitness, extensive canyoning experience, and bucket loads of mental resolve. Over the next 2 days, we'll descend a steep canyon slot, dropping 600 metres in elevation through technical abseils, sketchy down climbs, and route finding through difficult terrain. My mates and I will battle thunderstorms, fatigue, pitch black waterfalls, and near hypothermia. At night, we'll set up camp in the boulder field beneath the canyon and recharge our stomachs and minds around a campfire. Join me as I spend 2 days descending a rugged canyon in the Kanangra-Boyd wilderness. A misty start to the morning in the lower mountains before driving to pick up Jared from his little cottage near Katoomba. We hastily packed the car as Brad checks out his new, significantly larger canyoning pack before we begin our drive, traversing the western end of the Blue Mountains National Park.
Okay, maybe hop off the road. There we go. We are heading out to Kanangra-Boyd National Park. Hoping to do a canyon out there. We haven't done it before. It's our second time heading out to Kanangra. We went out a couple of years ago. Since then we've been slacking off. So Brad and I, second time, but Jared's first time to Kanangra. Hoping to do a day of canyoning today, camping at the creek along the bottom, and then exiting tomorrow. Weather forecast is looking alright. Maybe a bit of a thunderstorm in the afternoon. A bit misty here at the moment, but I'm hoping that blows off by the time we get out to Kanangra. That's the game plan. So we've just made it to Kanangra-Boyd National Park, as you can see here. Bit late, someone forgot the cheese and bacon rolls, so I had to pop into the local IGA to grab that. But we got a coffee and we are now well on the way to the canyon. We made it here, running a bit later than anticipated, but we're packing up and getting ready to head into the canyon. You guys bringing mattresses?
Jared brought a bloody pillow along the way.
Stop. You didn't bring a mattress? This bro's sleeping, guys. He's sleeping like this on the ground. Should we even let him come?
That's not very ultra light of you. Pack feeling, Bradley?
Good, man. First time with the new pack. It came in handy because we're a bit overpacked.
What happened to ultra light?
Carrying all your shit.
Jared, how you feeling?
What did I actually
He's taller than him. It's not even done up, it's that full.
Pass to the camera, I'm showing your pack. And this is Liam's pack. So I have packed efficiently and I have delegated to the team what is required, so we are all carrying it evenly. 10 kilo pack weight, beautiful. So Brad, Jared and I are off on our way through to the canyon. A bit behind schedule, it's about 9:49 and we're heading off, but we should be all right. We are camping overnight at the bottom, so we don't actually have to be out of the canyon till, even if we got out by 5 or so, I'd be happy. We have sunlight here, because it's an Aussie summer, till about 9. So yeah, we should have plenty of time to get to it. Unfortunately, a certain person forgot the lunches, the cheese and bacon rolls I'd put in the fridge for today. So we had to duck in Oberon pretty quickly just to grab some lunch. Whilst we were there, we picked up a coffee and had some snacks. And we're now off on the fire trail. Hopefully a couple Ks, and we should be turning off the track and following the creek down. We are sweating, it's hot. 10:30, about to turn off the fire trail and then make our way down into the creek. There's no track here, so it looks pretty open. Fingers crossed won't be too hard. Maybe another hour or so of hiking and we should be down to the creek where the canyons begin.
Continuing on our way through the bush, we passed through a field of lush and vibrantly green ferns before continuing on our way through the open woodland. It was easy going through here, so our spirits were high and we were excited for the adventure that lay ahead.
You're too big, bro. You're too thick. No, still too thick. He did it. Yeah, go Jared.
Further into the wilderness, the vegetation became thicker, with the fallen tree branches and thick plant regrowth a reminder of the powerful bushfires that tore their way through this country several years ago.
Why not, mate?
After the thick shrubbery, the bushland opened back up, and we found ourselves at a tributary, a short way upstream of the creek that we would follow through the canyon. We scrambled down a loose slope before finding ourselves atop the first pitch of the canyon, with an amazing view of the valley in the distance. A quick lunch break and change of kit into our wetsuits before I lead the way down the first pitch,
Abseiling.
20 metres next to a waterfall.
Lots of loose rock.
Brad agrees to lead the second pitch, descending down into the spray of the water and the start of the canyon constriction. After the lads both joined me on the rock platform next to the falls, I climbed over a log wedged between the canyon and overlooked the dark slot below. Looking down into the canyon, I began to feel a sense of nervousness for the adventure that was to come. The rock walls in the distance were hundreds of meters tall, and at some sections appeared to be only shoulder width apart. But we had committed to the canyon now, and the only way out was down. I attached myself to the rope, with Brad above me having rigged a releasable system to allow me to descend a full 60 meters if needed. Continuing further down, the sunlight faded to darkness and all verbal communication was lost to the sound of the powerful waterfall. Landing at the bottom in a shallow pool, I located another set of bolts and applied my safety before signalling to the boys that they were good to descend. It was pitch black down here, the only light being from the head torch on my helmet, and the sweltering heat from earlier that morning had been replaced by the powerful spray of water. Being down here felt like being in the middle of the earth, one of the most inhospitable environments for humans to be in. Dark, cold, wet, and with a substantial drop only meters away. Fueled by adrenaline, I let out a wild banshee scream before Jared abseils down and joins me in the darkness.
What's happened to it? The strap's right off.
Once Jared had gotten himself in position and on safety, I began to descend down the next pitch black abseil. Waiting at the next abseil pitch and looking out into the distance, it seemed clear to me why this part of the world was declared a national park. The steep ravine in front of me, consisting of resistant quartzite, is some of the most dramatic terrain in the entire World Heritage area. The sheer ruggedness of this country is mind-blowing, with the thick vegetation and towering height of the surrounding cliffs unlike anywhere else in Australia. But it's not always been this way. A proposal emerged in 1963 to quarry limestone from a nearby mountain, Mount Armour. This proposal would chew the heart out of the wilderness according to some campaigners, and the battle between corporate boardrooms and the community became fierce. Supporters of the wilderness were able to mount a vigorous campaign of lobbying, publicising, and at one point even buying shares in one of the companies to have a seat in the corporate boardroom. In 1969, the Kanangra-Boyd National Park was declared, with the addition of numerous other sections of the wilderness over the next decade. Today, the Kanangra-Boyd National Park is the second largest national park in New South Wales, second only to the Wallamai. To put this into perspective, this section of wilderness is larger than Hong Kong and almost twice as large as Singapore. After waiting for a while, I eventually saw the illumination of Jared's headlight as he turned a corner out of the slot, and I knew that the group was okay. Brad followed soon afterwards, and we rigged the next pitch, a short abseil through a tight hole. Jared and I quickly followed suit and arrived at another abseil. This one, however, requiring a safety line to access bolts placed in a difficult position. Jared put Brad on belay as he scrambled over and began rigging the pitch. After we joined Brad at the bottom, we found ourselves at the top of the tallest pitch in the canyon. A 35-metre abseil through the slot, getting pumped by water. I rechecked the knot used to tie the rope together before deploying a strand and beginning the abseil.
He doesn't even know what's coming yet. Wrong way, mate. Yeah. Yes.
As the boys began to pull down the ropes, I found myself looking back up the canyon and was amazed at how far we had descended already. It wasn't over yet though, with several hundred meters of elevation still to drop before we arrive at the creek. I led the next abseil of about 30 meters down a dark, narrow slot. The entirety of the water running through the creek was being funneled through this thin crack in the cliffs, resulting in an incredibly enjoyable and picturesque abseil. Once we found ourselves out of the spray of the waterfall and the narrow canyon constriction, the distinct change in weather became apparent. The sky had turned grey and it had begun to bucket down with rain, providing a very moody atmosphere for the next couple of abseils.
How's the rain going, Brad?
Continuing on our way through the canyon, the walls began to open up, and we found a patch of sun illuminating the cliff line in front of us. Eventually, the sun managed to part the grey sky, and we could look back up the canyon, seeing the numerous waterfalls we had descended earlier in the day. We'd arrived at the last abseil of the canyon proper, a nice 30-metre drop down a waterfall. I led the pitch before watching Jared and Brad abseil down to join me in the amphitheatre below. From here, we'll scramble down a boulder field before reaching the creek where we would set up camp for the night. We were moving slowly through the boulder field, frequently taking off our packs and assisting each other down as the terrain was so steep. We'd been scrambling for over an hour, and although feeling tired, we're motivated by the thought of arriving at camp, so we continued to push on.
Made it to the campsite. It's almost 10 o'clock at night. Spent a little bit of time here getting ready, getting prepped for tonight. Had a couple of unfortunate events. Jared's hand sanitizer leaked throughout his dry bag, so all of his clothes and equipment got a good clean. His dry bag also didn't work, so a lot of the group kit, sleeping bags and stuff are a bit damp. But nevertheless, we are getting a fire on the way. Gonna fire up the jet boil and get some food done, and then we'll get to bed for a big day out again tomorrow.
Waking to the natural light at sunrise, we had a sluggish start to the morning after only a couple hours of sleep each. My air mattress was leaking throughout the night, and Brad had simply chosen not to bring one, so we both got a couple hours of sleep at best. We got changed into our hiking gear, putting our harnesses on over the top as we expected a couple further abseils downstream. Making our way down the creek, the steep elevation profile we were used to from the day before had mellowed into a much more enjoyable creek walk.
Jared, good luck to you in shorts, bro.
Several points required pushing our way through thick and sharp vegetation, with Brad and I feeling bad for Jared, who had chosen to only bring shorts. We arrived at the first abseil of the day when disaster struck. Whilst trying to remove the rope from my backpack laying on the ground, Jared accidentally knocked my camera into a pool of water. It was submerged down there for a couple of seconds, and it was immediately apparent that it was broken. After a night of sleeping rough, and now with facing the loss of a bloody expensive piece of kit, the group was feeling defeated. Furthermore, we know that we had a kilometre of creek walking to go before we would even reach the difficult part of today's journey. A 500-metre ascent through thick vegetation with no track. After several hours of walking, we arrived at the confluence of the two creeks. This was our geographical marker to turn off the creek line and begin ascending the ridge to our east. We stopped here for a short while, restoring our energy levels with some food and enjoying this pristine section of the wilderness. We could have stayed here for hours, but we knew we had a big ascent to cover, so reluctantly, we started pushing up the ridge.
We're about 600 metres up on the ridge. We started at about 450 metres elevation down at the valley floor. Got to keep heading up till just before 1,000 metres. I think it's 980 metres, and that will be our peak for today. From there, should be relatively flat along the cliff line until we get back to the car. We are bloody buggered.
The walking was tough. Thick, prickly vegetation covered the loose soil in abundance, and every second step was onto a loose rock. We had frequent breaks, but continued to push slowly onwards up the ridge. Eventually we made it to the top, which I proudly proclaimed to the rest of the boys.
I'm at the top.
A short scramble up our path through the cliff line before we assist each other in hauling up our heavy packs.
It's easy at the moment. Oh, Jesus. Good, don't fall off. I'll hold it. I had to find you, tell you I need you, tell you I set you apart. Tell me you see.
Exhausted, we take a minute to sit down and relax, enjoying one of the best views anywhere in Australia.
Back to the start, running in circles, coming in tails, heads on.
We welcome the formation of the track through heathland as we make our way back to civilization. Although we still had a couple of kilometres to go, we knew that it would be a breeze compared to the hellishly difficult ascent we had just completed.
For us to part. Nobody said it was easy.
So after a couple of hours of hard ascent, we've made it to the ridge and thankfully to the track. We had about 500 metres of ascending where it was very little track, thick vegetation, vines, prickly bushes and loose rocks, so we're exhausted, but the view that we've got here makes it worth it. was. Pissing down rain. What a way to end the canyon.
Tell me you love me, come back and haunt me. Oh, when I rush to the start, running in circles, chasing tails, coming back as we are. Nobody said it was easy. Oh, it's such a shame for us to part. Nobody said it was easy. No one ever said it would be so hard. I'm going back to the start.
We made it back to the car park. You can see the boys behind me are unpacking their stuff, trying to salvage whatever snacks we can because we are bloody hungry. No one else here. We've got the whole place to ourselves. We've survived a couple of thunderstorms along the way. I think it's rained 3 or 4 times as we did our walk back along the tops. We didn't do a car shuffle, so we've got to run back along the road for a couple kilometers to where we actually parked our car. Thankfully, we'll leave our packs here, drive back down, grab our stuff, and then get on the road, get to a pub for some food, and then get ready for work tomorrow.
Text the misso.
He's well trained. Feeling the tradition with the Mexicanas?
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Doritos, get on board. Bloody buggered. Any of the pub and have a proper feed. Not happy. Good. How's yours? How's yours?
Oh yeah, really good. The beer's awesome.
And that's the adventure done. Over the 2 days, we walked 15 kilometres, covering a kilometre in both ascent and descent. Our bodies were absolutely feeling the toll, with each and every one of us hobbling around for the next couple of days. Although we were absolutely buggered, filled with a sense of pride and satisfaction. We were now one of only a couple dozen groups that would be lucky enough to make their way down that canyon this year. What a memory to have made with my best mates. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you on the next Wallamai adventure.